Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Morning Money Call. My name is Gary Bailey. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I've not talked a lot about before, and that is wholesaling. I've had a lot of people ask more and more about, how do I get started in wholesaling? How do you do wholesaling? Because what you're going to find is once you set up your pipeline of properties coming into your business, you're going to find that for your own business, whether that's flipping or, buy and hold or BRRRR or anything like that, you're going to find that you're going to end up with more houses than you know what to do with, and that's a good problem to have, right? So you should be in the business where you're bringing properties into your funnel, into your pipeline, and you should come across houses that are good deals. You say, hey, this is a pretty good deal. It's just not a good deal for me right now. So that's a good opportunity for you to wholesale a property. So today what I'm going to talk about is how to get started in wholesaling, the advantages of wholesaling, and how you can incorporate that into really any real estate investing strategy that you might have. Now, I don't want to assume that everybody on this call knows what wholesaling is. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. I've been wholesaling houses for about 20 years. That's how I got started. I actually got started flipping houses, and then I took a job with a company that sold houses wholesale. And I was like, man, this is way easier than flipping houses. And for a lot of investors that I know that are successful, they do a combination of both. That's what we do here in our business. So we find way more houses than we can possibly rehab ourselves. I don't have a big crew. We do maybe a couple flips a year, like one or two, and that's it. But we primarily focus on the wholesaling. And I never understood why more investors don't incorporate wholesaling into their business. That's just like part of it. And it's just because it's an easy way to make a little bit of extra money on the side, whether you've got a full-time job or not, but it's a great way to get into real estate to get started. So what wholesaling is where you get a property under contract for a certain price, and then you sell it to another investor for more than that. Whether most of the time you're not going to do any work to the property. A lot of the times you're not even going to close on the property. But that's essentially what it is. So let's say I get a house accepted for, I don't know, $110,000. But I've got too many properties that I want to deal with right now. So I don't have the funds to take it down, or I don't have the time to do the work on the property. So I'm going to wholesale it. So I'm just going to find another investor who wants to buy that property from me for more than what I paid for it. Now, back when we had our big company and our brokerage, our average wholesale fees were pretty low. I mean, they were really only about $5,000-$6,000. Let's see people in here, $5,000 or $6,000 per house, and we did a lot of volume. We were doing 20, 30 houses a month at $5,000 wholesale fees. And then we had our financing that we would charge on top. So that's how we kind of made our money. But wholesalers on average can make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per deal for wholesaling a house. And for a lot of people, making $10,000 or $15,000 per deal is more than they might make on a flip that went bad, right? So wholesaling is a great opportunity just to make some money on the side or to make it as your core business. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of ways you can get started. I'll talk a little bit about how to structure your deals. And I'm also going to talk about some misconceptions around wholesaling as well. All right, so let's dig into it. So first of all, like I said, wholesaling is when, let me close out some things here. So wholesaling is when you get a property under contract for a certain price and then you sell it for more than that without doing any work to the property. And there's two different ways that you can basically coordinate this type of transaction. The easiest way to do it is that you would essentially close on the property and then put it up on the market and sell it as is. And they call that wholetailing is what people call it, where it's like retail and wholesale kind of combined. That's one thing that you can do. So if you've got enough money, you've got enough cash to take something down, you just take it down, clean it up a little bit. Maybe you clean it out. You just put it up on the MLS. Now, if you're an agent, you've got a bigger advantage there because you can collect the commission yourself. You can save some money there. That's one thing to do. The other thing that you can do is you get the property under contract. Instead of closing on it yourself without a buyer, you find another investor who's going to buy the property from you for more. And then you would either coordinate a double close where you would buy the property the same day that you sell it to your buyer, and you collect the difference at closing from the title company. Now, in order to do that, you've got to have your own funds lined up to buy that property on the A to B side. The other thing you can do is you can assign your contract. And I do get a lot of questions if you do a lot of probate. People ask, can you assign a contract in probate? And again, I'll give a couple caveats here, just a couple blanket statements. Number one, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know. Please don't interpret what I'm giving you as necessarily as legal advice. I just know what works here in Ohio. I've not researched the laws in different states, so definitely talk with your title company, local title company, and talk to the attorney that owns that title company or your attorney to find out the legalities of this, particularly with wholesaling, because the laws are changing around the country for wholesaling. But as far as I know, if you do a wholesale transaction that's double close and you buy the property, that's considered the A to B transaction. That's the seller to you, you're B. And then you close on it, you need to have your own funds to do that. Now, you may only need those funds for a little bit because then you're going to do the B to C closing, which is you to your buyer. So that's a separate closing. There's costs that are associated with that. So you're going to pay costs to buy the property. You're going to pay probably a transaction fee to your transactional lender, all the closing costs that are about 1 to 2% of the purchase price of the house, title insurance, all that stuff. So you're going to have your closing costs there, which is going to eat up some of your costs, some of your profit. And then you're going to have the sell side closing costs. That's also going to eat up a little bit of your costs, a little bit of your profit, because you're going to have to pay some closing costs as the seller. So that's the cleanest way to do it. Buy the property and then sell it to your investor in two separate transactions. It doesn't let the buyer necessarily know what you're making on the property. If there's a sensitive situation with the person that you're buying the property from, then you kind of avoid all of that stuff. You're just basically buying the property and selling it. So that's double close. The disadvantage of the double close, one, is that it's more expensive. So if you're going to make, say, $17,000 on a house, you're probably only going to make about $14,000 to $15,000, because at least $2,000 to $3,000 is going to get chewed up by your transactional lending and the closing costs and everything of the A to B and the B to C. So what a lot of investors will do is they will do something called an assignment. An assignment is short for an assignment of contract. So when you put an offer in on a house to buy, you are submitting a contract to purchase that house. And there's a lot of different contracts out there. There's, board certified contracts that are produced by the board of realtors in your area. There's just regular contracts that are not board certified contracts. We use just a down and dirty 2-page contract. It's not fancy at all, but it gets the job done. If we need to, we'll use a board contract, but those are 5, 7 pages. In some states, they're like 20 pages long. We try to keep it as easy as possible for the sellers. In most cases, the sellers have an attorney. They're going to review that anyway. So that's the purchase contract. Where the assignment comes in, the assignment assigns your interest in the property and it assigns your contract. I'm going to pull up an example of both of those just so you guys know. So we use something called DotLoop, good down and dirty digital signature software or SaaS, whatever you want to call it. Actually, based here, started here in Cincinnati, the same time that I started my company back in 2008. So DotLoop is what we use. It's great. And we have libraries of contracts in here that we use as when we were agents. My partner is still an agent. So let me show you this. So this is a property. So this is State Route 28. I think I've showed you this before. This is our purchase contract. And again, it's a probate deal. So we bought it from this estate here. It's got the address. I mean, this is a down and dirty contract. There's nothing fancy about it. It's only 2 pages. So you can see we're agreeing to buy it for $195. We're using the title company, putting $500 down. And it says, you've got 5 days for inspection. In this case, we had an inspection period on this house because it had, there was an old septic tank that had been hooked up to the existing house because there was another house that was torn down. Anyway, we figured all that out. So we put an inspection period in there. Said to close by 10/25. We actually just closed a couple weeks ago. Had some title issues. Fiduciary deed is what we put in there because it's an estate sale and Rapid Title is a title company. So you can see right here, this is it. It's 2 days or 5 days for the septic inspection only. So we're just super clear about it. We also put in here that we're buying the property as is. We're paying all the closing costs. We always say it's subject to probate approval. And we have right to access the property before closing for measurement. So we've put that to get some access there. So there's our contract to buy the property for $195. And then we have an assignment that assigns our interest in the property. So you can see it says right here that assignment between White Box and Shape Up Properties. It's a $15,000 assignment fee. So we're taking our contract for $195 and we're assigning it to our buyer for a $15,000 fee, which makes their purchase price our $195 plus the assignment, which is $210. So that's what they bought the property from us for. It's $210,000. And actually that property just closed. So that there it is right there is a $15,000 assignment fee. And then you can even see just to tie it all out here. And again, just to bring it full circle, here is the settlement statement. So then this is what that assignment looks like on an actual settlement statement. So you can see here, settlement date of 2/10. This was a couple weeks ago. Assignment fee to White Box Properties for $15,000. So that's how we collect our money at closing. The title company sends that directly to us. See how that works? That's $15,000. We didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to swing a hammer. I didn't have to manage contractors. It was easy. So again, if you have properties coming into your business, more than you can take down, which you should, you can make an extra $10,000, $15,000. And I've never understood why more investors don't do this. And I think it's just because they like wrap this whole idea of wholesaling up in their head as like its own business. And it kind of is, I guess, but like I just look at it as like wholesaling a property just is a great tool to have in your tool belt. And if you know how to do it, you'll never worry about money. Like you'll always like, you can come down to your last penny. You can always wholesale a house and make $15,000, $20,000, sometimes even more. So it's a really, really great tool to have in your tool belt, particularly if you need cash. So again, wholesaling, I think is great. What I'm going to do in this group is that I'm going to put together probably the same way that we did with probate. I'm going to do like a 4-part series specifically around wholesaling so that people understand how to do it. They understand the nuances, how to structure all their stuff so that you can really take advantage of this, really of this tool that you should have in your tool belt to make some extra money with the houses you have coming in. That way you give yourself options and you're not stuck with like, okay, I've got to buy this house or it's got to be this, because you're going to come across properties that are good deals, but they're just not going to be a good deal for you, but they're going to be a good deal for somebody, right? So just with the time that we've got here, if you want to get started wholesaling real estate, this is something you're interested in, go into my Skool community. It's skool.com/property magnet. And, just message me on there. I think there's even a thread on there for real estate strategies or possibly for wholesaling. So, you can comment in there as well, but I'm going to try to continue this series on. With the time that I have, I'm going to talk just a little bit about some misconceptions about wholesaling and the way that you find properties and the way that you find buyers. And I got 9 minutes to do this. I'm going to keep it nice and tight. So number one, people are concerned with wholesaling. The thing that a lot of times they're concerned about is finding the buyers. The thing is, if the numbers are good on the house, the property will sell itself. You won't have to worry about that. So what you're going to need to get started wholesaling, you're going to need a contract to get started, right? You're going to need a copy of an assignment, some type of an assignment. And then you are also going to need buyers and you're going to need houses and you might need some type of transactional lending. So those are the 5 things that you're going to need. That's what we'll cover over the next couple of weeks when we start talking more and more about wholesaling. But for today, where you're going to find your houses, the best place to find these houses, I think, in my opinion, is probate properties. I still feel is the most consistent way for you to get properties for your wholesaling business or for your flipping business or for wherever that is. It's the only source that I know of that has consistent leads coming in every day, every month, every single week. So it's an easy way for you to get 30 or 50 deals into your pipeline of people that are actually wanting to sell their house, that you can call them, you know what to say, you go through all my probate training. It's all in my Skool community for free. It'll walk you through what to say specifically, how to find those leads. If you want to get those leads from me, you can just go to homeflip.ai and click claim your county and we'll have a conversation about that. So that's where you're going to get the majority of your houses from. Where you're going to find your buyers, and you can do 2 different things. You can do bandit signs. I still think bandit signs are great for finding buyers, or you can just look on Facebook. Facebook is probably the best way to find a lot of buyers quickly. And the way that you'll do that is you want to look for an off-market property group in your area or like a real estate investor group in your area. So for example, in Cincinnati, there's Greater Cincinnati Real Estate Investors and Northern Kentucky Real Estate Investors. There's multiple for every city. So you want to search real estate investors in your city or real estate investors in your state. Probably city is going to be better, or like off-market properties in your city. Then what you're going to do, you're going to go into that Facebook group and you're going to look for when people have posted properties. Those are typically going to be wholesalers. You're going to look back and you're going to see all the people that have requested information on the properties. A lot of times they're going to put their phone number on there. They're going to put their email on there. What you're going to do is you're going to pull all those people down into a list, and you're going to either save them on a spreadsheet. You can save the post in Facebook. I've got a training on that as well, how you can use Facebook to leverage your real estate business. I'll post a link below this, but you're going to save all those posts, and you're going to pull all those people's information. You're going to save their phone numbers. You're going to save their email addresses, and then you're going to DM them on Facebook. You're going to message them on Facebook, and you're going to say, "Hey, look, I saw that you were interested in Jerry's post on that house over in White Oak. Are you still looking for properties right now?" And you want to get to the point where you have a conversation with these buyers. So as a wholesaler, the way that you're going to separate yourself from other wholesalers is you're going to actually have conversations with these buyers. Shocking, right? Shocking. You mean I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to actually talk to a human being? I'm not just going to fire off a text message or a DM or have my AI bot do it. Yeah. You're going to actually pick up the phone and you're going to actually have a conversation. And this is the conversation. This is how it's going to go. You're going to call them up, say, hey, first of all, you're going to message them on Facebook and say, give you a call. Yep. When can we have a call? 10, 15-minute conversation. This is the information you want to find out from them. So when you're talking to a potential wholesale buyer and you're qualifying them for your funnel, my conversation might go like this. Like, hey, Jim, it's Gary. How are you doing today? Doing great, man. Hey, listen, like I told you on Facebook, I saw that you had requested information on that property in White Oak from that other guy. Whatever ended up happening with that thing. Oh no, I remember that house and the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Right? You're just breaking the conversation up a little bit, sounding a little bit different. So you're asking about that. Did he end up buying it? Whatever ended up happening with that house? You're like, oh, I don't know. Okay. You're just breaking the ice a little bit. The next thing you want to find out is his experience level. So Jim, have you been investing for a while, or is it something you're just kind of getting started? You want to find out his experience level, right? All right, cool. Well, hey man, the purpose of my call today, it's really pretty basic. It's just to kind of find out a little bit more about, what your real estate business looks like now, the types of properties that you're looking for, so that I can match you up with other properties as I get them, as they come into my, into my business. I just try to work with a close group of investors. You want to let them know you just work with serious investors who do multiple deals per year. And this is important. So as a wholesaler, I think personally, I don't like to work with brand new investors, or I don't like to work with people that just do like one house a year or one house every couple of years, because I tend to find that those people are pretty picky, and which is fine, fair enough. But I want somebody that's doing volume. So the easier buyers you're going to have to work with as a wholesaler are the investors that are doing at least 5 deals a year or at least 2 deals a year, where they're saying, hey, my business model is I need to buy 5, 10 houses a year. Where am I going to get those houses from? Those people are going to rely, if they don't source their own properties, they're going to be looking for wholesalers like yourself, and they'll be happy to pay your fee. All right, so when you talk to them, you want to find out how long they've been investing in real estate. You want to find out how many houses they do a year. If they only do one, then they're still fine. You still want to keep them in your database. You just put them on your email list. But if they do more than 5, you want to keep them kind of on like your inner circle list. And you don't need to have a lot of investors like that. You might need, to have a successful wholesaling business, you may only need 20 people. 20 people each buying 2 houses from you a year. There's your 40 house a year wholesale business. And if you can put together a system that will create wholesale fees of $15,000 or $20,000 and sell those houses to 20 investors, there's 40 houses, $20,000 each. There's $800,000 wholesale business. There you go. End of speech, right? So you don't need that many. You don't need to have a buyer's list of 7,000 or 15,000. The bigger the list, the lower the quality, right? I say that about everything, whether that's leads or anything else. So that's the information you're going to get from the buyer. So where are we so far? We've opened up the conversation with them to let them know that we're a little bit different. We found out what their experience level is. We found out how many houses they do a year. What's their volume? That's important. Next, we want to find out, how do they typically pay for their property? How do you typically buy your properties, Jim? Do you use like financing or private lenders, or what are you doing exactly? And if they're kind of vague about it, then what I'll do, I'll ask them, hey, do you need some referrals? I've got some good lenders that we work with. Do you need some referrals for financing? And if they're like, oh yeah, I'm really looking for somebody right now, then they probably don't have their financing lined up. So I have a little section on my website. It's whitebox.properties/financing. I just put it on there. I send them a link to that. It's got like 6 or 7 different lenders that we recommend. So again, that's probably not the highest, the most qualified person that you're going to deal with if they don't have their financing lined up and they just do like maybe one house a year, or they're looking to just do, one or two, but it's been a while. All right. So the financing part leads to the next qualification question is that I want to see that they have basically they have like checkbook control is what I call it. So they've got the ability, like they're in control of the financing. So even if they're using, Kiavi or First Place, whatever these other lending companies, even if they're using a hard money lending company, it doesn't make them less qualified unless you're really, close on the time frame to close. But it's important that they have control of that. There's people that I work with where a lot of times I'm talking to the contractor, but they're not the money person. They just do the work. And it's really easy to speak for your partner who controls the money when you're not the one that controls the money. So be cognizant of that as you're talking to these different buyers. Are they the ones that control the financing directly, or do they have like a buyer or money guy that has to like approve it, or are they the decision maker? That's an important question to find out as well. And again, you're just going to get that by finding that out. If they do have a partner, hey, you want to get their information, and let's have a phone conversation with them so you can kind of see where they stand with all that. Because you want to ask them. The next question is this: if I find a property that fits with what you're looking for, how quickly can you close? How quickly can you close? Oh, I can close in 5 days, 10 days. Oh, I got to get my financing in place. So you want to have that information as well. So experience level, volume, are they in control of their financing? How quickly can they close? And then what type of communication do you have with them? Are they easy to communicate with or not? You'll have people that you'll message them. It'll be days before they write you back. They're impossible to get a hold of. Even when you do get a hold of them, it's possible to get them to make a decision or get them out to a property. So if they don't communicate well, that's going to bump them down a little bit as well. Now, I've got a whole scoring system that I use for my prospects for my wholesaling business because there's so many different variables to keep track of, but I have a ranking system that I use that takes all these factors into place so that I can score my buyers. I know who's serious and who's not. Now, out of all those questions, this is the number one most important question that you can ask a buyer for your wholesaling business. How soon are you looking for your next deal? How soon are you looking to get into your next deal? That is the most important question that you can ask any wholesale buyer out there. And that is going to separate the people who are really serious, actively looking right now from the people who aren't. Because even a serious investor, they might not have the ability to buy a property right then, but they'll be interested in hearing about a property. Now they can hear about a property and they could want to buy that property, but if they don't have the ability to pull out their checkbook right then and write you a check and say, yep, I'm ready to go, or I can close on this property right now, then even when you bring it to them, they're going to want to look at it. They're going to really, really want to buy it, but they're not going to buy it. So that's the final piece, is sorting all your buyers between who's my active buyers right now and who are my investors that are not active buyers. And the only way to know that, to really, really know that, is to communicate with your buyers at least once a month, preferably every other month, to find out, are you actively looking? So you might have 700 people on your list, but you might only have 5 people that are actively looking right now, looking for properties right now. So that is the most important part too. Out of everything else, that's how you're going to rank your buyers. All right, guys, I know this just gave you a little bit of information and just like a little bit of a teaser towards wholesaling. I'm going to continue this series on more. If you like this type of content, you want me to talk more about wholesaling and finding buyers and all that stuff, please comment below and let me know that you like this kind of stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in the Skool community and ask me directly. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. I'm out of time today, but I'll see you back here at 8:30 this morning. We're posting a ton of new content on my YouTube channel. So just go to youtube.com/GaryBailey1, and you can look at all my content there. I just uploaded 30 hours of live lectures, live workshops from back in the day about finding contractors and financing and all that stuff. There's so much information out there right now that you guys can all get for free. There's no excuse for you not getting started investing in real estate in 2026. All right, guys, have a great weekend. It was a pleasure to do this call as usual, and I will see you out there. Take care.